Have you ever wondered what would happen if The Shining had sex with the birds? Well, that's what you get when you see Neon's new horror movie, Cuckoo, starring Andre Schafer. I saw this movie yesterday. I'm a strong proponent of waiting 24 hours before I really simmer with my thoughts to see how I remember the movie, as opposed to just letting it like glow and shine with recency bias. And 24 hours out from this movie, I can confidently say that I had a good time watching it. So to give you the rundown, we're entering the spoiler territory, folks. To give you guys a rundown, and I said this several months ago, this movie feels like The Shining from the beginning. They're going to a resort in the middle of the nowhere. Our main character, Gretchen, is moving in with her dad because her mother passed away. Her sister is mute, and it's just very weird vibes all around. Super strange. It's the kind of like paranoia thriller of like, I don't know exactly what's going on. And then we get into it, okay? So the owner of this resort, played by Dan Stevens, is fucking weird. And let me say, the biggest takeaway I have from this movie is it makes me rethink how much I, a person who works in like food service and hospitality, how much I call people dear. Because I'm always like, oh, is there anything else I can get for you, dear? Like, blah, blah, blah. But hearing this guy say it on screen, I was like, I'm going to vomit. Like, is that what it sounds like when people say that? Horrible. Horrendous. Disgusting. Very unsettling performance. And he is also my biggest problem with this movie, okay? So we get into this movie, we figure out that like the resort is like a front for this experiment where they impregnate young women with the eggs of a bird human species kind of type beat. It's actually fucking disgusting. The bird people reach down and grab their vaginal discharge and they try to literally just like put it. Is nasty. It's disgusting. We don't need to get into it. And I didn't realize this, but cuckoo birds, they say in the movie, use like their eggs, like they use a surrogate to lay their eggs in other birds. Whoever came up with this movie, I'm like, wow, you had some weird fantasies you wanted to see on screen. In terms of Birdlike Horror, it's not like a bird movie. It's more of like, it kind of feels like a science fiction paranoia thriller because you have the angle of like, there's like something happening. Like there's a woman chasing me, stalking me. There's elements of what the fuck is going on here, horror. And then just like the weird like experiment shit that you're trying to figure out. At first it feels like it's a grief movie. Right. She's moving on from her mom. And I do think there's a really like beautiful arc in terms of that like emotional story. She literally loses her mom. She comes to the place where she has nothing and she's trying to find everything and she's desolate and she's losing her mind. She's crazy. She feels like she's in a time loop, which ultimately we see is the bird call like is meant to like confuse and disorient, right? But it feels like she's stuck in time. It feels like she doesn't know where she is. She's disoriented all the time until she realizes her sister is what she has to live for, right? So there's that really pretty, cute story on the surface there. Or is the surface story the bird experiment? I mentioned this earlier and I didn't talk about it at all. My biggest issue with the movie is their why is he says, why do we do this? I'm somewhat of a preservationist. A preservationist? The fuck is that supposed to mean? This is the motivation for the entire horror movie and you're just going to tell me you want to preserve this species that we don't really even know any history about, any why. It doesn't, I don't know. This is my biggest issue. I wanted there to be some kind of motivation, right? Because we have with what's his face, who I'm forgetting, right? The former cop who's there. He's there to avenge his wife. What happened to him? That's a need. Now, maybe this comes from I spent too much money on an acting degree that I have to put an emotional need behind every character's motivation, right? In kids' movies and shit, growing up, it was just because this person is bad, because they want power, right? But with him, I'm just like, you having bird people and not telling anybody about bird people, it's like, how does this benefit you? You're not getting social status. You're not getting money. You're like, there's very little, I feel like, to be gained from this. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Please let me know in the comments if there's like some crazy thing I'm missing here. In terms of that, talk about the movie as a whole. Hunter Schafer absolutely eats this the fuck up. She's America's new Scream Queen, guys. I'm sorry to say it. She's America's new Scream Queen, and it's fantastic. And you know what my favorite part about this movie is? This movie, it's just a horror movie, and there's a trans lead actor, and it has nobody's talking about it because it's all about her incredible work in this film. You know what I mean? That's also just me. I just love seeing when people's work and what they do transcends how people see them or know them. It's really awesome to think that what you can do on Earth is like bigger than who you are. I love that. But she eats this up. Dan Stevens is unsettling, but ultimately, and this is a hot take, not a memorable performance. I didn't think there was a lot of like standout performances because this is such a first person movie. We see the whole movie through Gretchen's eyes, so it's also hard to see, right? Because every character that we're seeing it through her lens. Also, let's talk about how fucked up it is that her dad was in on the whole bird insemination. Her sister, he knew, was a bird girl. Can you imagine? Yeah, it's so funny. There was a moment at the end of the movie when my camera shifted, taken with me for a ride. There was a moment at the end of the movie where Hunter Schafer, like the woman who's been chasing her the whole time, pulls the wig off. I thought for just a second, is that our mom? It's unclear, right? I don't think so. But also it raises a really important question of what if her mom who passed away was just a surrogate to her, right? And she actually is a bird kid, because if her father's done this now, who's to say he hasn't done it before? Super interesting. I do think we talked about in Long Legs last week that I think the biggest crux is that it didn't choose a subgenre, but I actually think in a weird way that this movie is benefited by the fact that it's a paranoia thriller. There's great elements of action. There are a few jump scares. There's this whole science fiction angle of trying to figure out what's happening. It's a little bit of like a mindfuck movie. Not really, but like a little bit, you know? In a way that I feel like there's something in this for a lot of different horror fans. This by no means to me is a groundbreaking piece of cinema, but I do think it was a really fun ride. I enjoyed when I was sitting there. The whole time I was engaged. I was excited. My biggest qualm is that there weren't more kissing scenes. I don't know. No, I really enjoyed Cuckoo. I think it's really fascinating. It makes me think a lot about the why, and it leaves me asking those questions. So maybe the movie didn't answer it, so I could think about it and sit here and wonder, why the fuck would a guy try to continue the lineage of a bird human hybrid species? Because that's what I'm doing, and that's what I've been doing all week. So yeah. Also, best part of the movie, or one of the coolest elements of the movie, is that one shot they keep coming to of what is undistinguishable at first, but I feel like is what I think is just the human like neck mimicking the bird call, the bird noise. Anyways, super fun flick. If you want to see a super interesting new horror movie, go and check this out. If it doesn't seem like your vibe, that's okay. I get it. I did like this more than Long Legs. It feels like more of a summer horror movie, which is what I wanted. So I'm happy with it. Anyways, let me know what you want me to see next. Bye.